And the law of averages is the proof. It tells you that if you increase your activity, you increase your success. Not because you got lucky, but because you used the math of persistence, the power of large. Welcome back to Channel Wisdom Swing. Today we explore one of Jim Rohn's most practical, powerful, and often overlooked lessons, the law of averages. Jim Rohn taught many ideas, but this one stands out because it's not just philosophical, it's mathematical, it's predictable, and when you understand it, your whole mindset about success, effort, failure, and action changes. Jim Rohn would say, if you do something often enough, a ratio will appear and it tends to continue. This means success isn't random, it isn't mysterious, it's not a roll of the dice, it's a numbers game. And the moment you understand that game, you stop doubting, you stop hesitating, and you start taking more action than ever before. Let's break down why the law of averages might be the most freeing idea Jim Rohn ever taught. What is the law of averages? Jim Rohn explained it simply. If you swing the bat enough times, you'll hit the ball. If you ask enough people, someone will say yes. If you try enough times, something will work. The law of averages says that actions create outcomes at predictable ratios, not exact outcomes every time, not perfect timing, but a dependable pattern over the long run. For example, talk to 10 people, maybe one is interested. Do 20 attempts, maybe to work. Try 5 ideas, maybe one becomes a breakthrough. Apply to 15 opportunities, maybe 3 open the door. That ratio is your personal average. It's your mathematical rhythm. And the more you act, the more the ratios work in your favor. Most people stop because their first no feels personal. Their first failure feels final. Their first attempt feels like a sign. Jim Rohn would laugh gently and say, no, it's only the numbers at work. The law of averages turns discouragement into endurance. It takes the emotion out of rejection and replaces it with expectation. That's powerful. Why? This law is so elaborate. In the moment you accept the law of averages, 2 things happen. 1. Failure stops being emotional. A no becomes just another step in the ratio. A setback becomes part of the math. You stop taking it personally. You start seeing it as progress. 2. Action becomes your greatest advantage. If you know the ratio works, then the fastest way to success is simply more attempts, more learning, more trying, more steps. Jim Rohn would say, life doesn't respond to need, it responds to action. And the law of averages is the proof. It tells you that if you increase your activity, you increase your success, not because you got lucky, but because you used the math of persistence, the power of large unhuman directions. Here's where Jim Rohn's wisdom gets interesting. He would explain that the law of averages becomes even more reliable. The more you do something, small numbers give you random results. Large numbers give you predictable results. 1 attempt, they could go either way. 10 attempts, more predictable. 100 attempts, almost always follows the ratio. This is why people who succeed massively aren't always the most talented, the most gifted, or the most experienced. They simply have the courage to increase their numbers. They put out more calls, more ideas, more messages, more attempts, more steps, more learning, more practice, more everything. They let the law of averages do the heavy lifting. Jim Rohn would say, if you want more success, just talk to more people, knock on more doors, try more things. Sooner or later, the ratio works. That idea alone can change your life. How the law of averages builds CIO and EP5. And CI confidence doesn't come from perfection. Confidence comes from predictability. If you know that every no gets you closer to a yes, you stop fearing the no. If you know that each failed attempt moves you closer to success, you stop hesitating. You begin to act boldly, speak courageously, and pursue opportunities with energy. The law of averages gives you psychological freedom. You can't fail as long as you keep increasing your numbers. This removes fear. It removes overthinking. It removes shame. It removes hesitation. Instead of asking, what if this doesn't work? You start asking, how fast can I get to the ratio? That single shift transforms your attitude forever. Section 5. Action, the force that activates the law. The law of averages only works for those who work it. It requires motion. It requires attempts. It requires you to put yourself in the arena. Jim Rohn said, don't wait for things to happen. Make them happen. The law of averages rewards those who take more chances, more shots, more steps, more conversations, more learning, more practice, more effort, more movement. Every action counts. Every attempt counts. Every effort pushes you closer to your ratio. The miracle of this law isn't that it gives you instant success. The miracle is that it guarantees progress as long as you don't quit improving the ratio. Here is more brilliance from Jim Rohn. You don't just work with the ratio, you work to improve it. At first, maybe 10 attempts give you 1 success. But after enough practice, enough reflection, and enough experience, maybe 10 attempts give you 2 successes, then 3, then 4. Then 4, your skill improves, your communication improves, your judgment improves, your intuition improves, your execution improves. The law of averages gives you success through numbers, but growth gives you success through improvement, and when you combine the two, high action plus increasing skill, you become unstoppable. This is how people go from average to excellent. Consistent action multiplied by consistent refinement. How to apply the law of averages to your life. You can use this law in any area. Relationships: talk to more people, listen more, connect more. Friendships and opportunities appear. Career: apply to more positions, reach out to more mentors, pitch more ideas. Skill rises with numbers. Health: try more habits, test more routines, find what works for your body. Finances: make more attempts to learn, more discipline with budgeting, more consistency in investing. Personal growth: more reading, more journaling, more learning reps. Everything improves with more reps. Everything. Jim Rohn believed that life rewards activity, not luck, not chance, not wishful thinking. Activity. And the law of averages is the mathematics behind that truth. If you do something often enough, a ratio appears. And if you keep going, that ratio turns into results. Then growth, then momentum, then transformation. Your life doesn't change by hoping. It changes by doing so today. Increase your numbers, increase your attempts, increase your courage, increase your movement. Let the law of averages work for you. Because success, it is not random, it is not mysterious, and it's never accidental. Success is mathematical. Thank you for watching Channel Wisdom Swing. And remember, if you want more success, take more action. Your ratio is waiting.